All 5 children of former Lakers owner Jerry Buss must agree to give up their percentage. Jeannie has gotten her lawyer involved and is prepared to go to court to resolve the matter. One of the issues is that Jeannie wants to remain the Lakers representative at the NBA Board of Governors meetings. The Dodgers pulled away for an 11-5 win at Colorado Monday night. 2 homers by Shohei Ohtani, a 3-run shot by Max Muncy. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. My big mama used to say that there are 24 hours in a day, 12 hours to mind your business, and 12 hours to leave other folks' business alone. So let's talk about our business. Crenshaw business. For over 5 years now, the good people of the Crenshaw corridor have lived in a gated community, but not by choice. Gates, fences, barricades, limited street access, closed lots, and then some. By now, you've heard the stories from the folk who've lived this nightmare. Business owners have lost customers. A charter school lost students. A veterinarian lost clients. Churches have lost members. And still, Procrastination Crenshaw sits unfinished. And when I say sits unfinished, I mean sits unfinished. Nobody was seduced by the Jedi mind trick they tried to play when they ran that headline on the front page of a local black newspaper about the project restarting in weeks. I mean, come see for yourself. The only trucks on Crenshaw are deconstruction trucks. It took a minute, but to her credit, LA Mayor Karen Bass showed up and she's leaning in on getting our parking back. But think about this for just a second. LA is not Chocolate City, and yet we are blessed to have a black mayor and a black city council president. But where is the black city council president? Where is Marquise Harris Dawson? This is his project in his district, but he has been strangely quiet. Did you notice in the recent Los Angeles Times story about Procrastination Crenshaw that neither Marquise Harris Dawson nor Destination Crenshaw had a word to say on the record? The silence was deafening. When people ask me why the silence, all I can say is, good question. As a reminder, the Crenshaw Corridor community sent him a letter, and it laid out real demands. A public timeline, relief for the businesses that have suffered, and an audit. At the moment, the last one matters most, the audit. Here's the thing, the foundation money, the private donations, that's their business. But this project is also funded by city money, state money, and federal money. I refer you back to the front page story in that black newspaper where they all talked about this. Go read it again. In any event, it's your money. And when public money goes into a $100 million project that still sits unfinished, the public has a right to see where every dollar went. Contracts, budgets, payments, schedules. That's not too much to ask. Again, it's your money. Our letter gave Mr. Harris Dawson a deadline, Friday, September 4th, to respond. The clock is ticking, Mr. President. 12 hours to mind the public's business. And this is one of them. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavish Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback. How did you want it?
Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It is Tenacious Tuesday on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, and our very special guest is none other than Slade Douglas. Slade is the central figure of the groundbreaking documentary Slade Douglas versus the City of Los Angeles, the veteran they tried to silence. A powerful investigative documentary grounded in documented facts, legal findings, official records, and verifiable evidence. The film chronicles Douglas's personal fight against institutional abuse, discrimination, and retaliation, shedding light on the broader injustices faced by veterans at the hands of government actors. A U.S. Army veteran and former college football player, Douglas, age 49, said he felt he had no choice but to take the city to court, ensured that this doesn't happen to another person. He attended Florida State undergrad and Richmond Community College for political science and pre-law. Slade, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
It's always an honor to be in your presence.
I am glad that you're here. Also joining us is Thomas Lucas, Senior Administrator for Equal Justice Now. Equal Justice Now is an organization focused on advocating for police reform, addressing systemic racism, and combating voter suppression. They engage in fundraising efforts to support their initiatives and raise awareness about social justice issues. The organization aims to connect with individuals and people affected by systemic changes. In various media and events, they strive to promote equality and justice for all. Thomas, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you for having me.
Thomas, we're having a little bit of a feedback on your end, so I'm going to go right to Slade for just a moment. Slade, share with us, because you've been on our program before, what the latest developments are. We do understand that you were successful in your case from our previous show, but more has transpired since you've begun something very special in your life. Share with us that, Slade.
Yeah, following in your footsteps and others, I've created the Slade Douglas Liberty Act, and it closes a constitutional loophole that allows government to circumvent constitutional protections under the guise of mental health or welfare intervention.
And that legislation, which you hope to see introduced in the Congress of the United States, essentially does what? We have about 2 minutes before we come forward.
So it prevents labels from functioning as warrants. For an example, when they use a welfare check label or a 5150 label, they feel like it can circumvent a person's constitutional rights. So if they come to you under the guise of a welfare check, the government has been using that as though it serves as a warrant to give them access to you that the Constitution doesn't permit.
I read some of the provisions of the effort that you're trying to undertake, and I find it somewhat interesting that there is no statute presently on the federal books that addresses some of the, if you will, the pretense, the language that they use to justify violating people's constitutional rights. On one case, you referred to as a welfare check. In other cases, they've used other language, and then it becomes some form of probable cause in their thinking to justify a completely different behavior and create a very different set of circumstances. You're saying that's unconstitutional. It needs federal legislation and protection, and it should apply to all 50 states.
Yes, sir, because a criminal have the presumption of innocent until proven guilty. And obviously you have to have probable cause as well. Well, when it comes to these mental health interventions, they are proven in my case when, again, the crime was committed against me because it was actually a crime under California Penal Code 114. 1483 to prompt the false emergency response. They also, when they use these labels, they remove a consensual encounter. They change it because all encounters with law enforcement has to be looked upon as consensual encounters unless they have a warrant or you have committed a crime. But when they start using these labels, again, they're using it to circumvent every citizen's constitutional rights.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Slade Douglas is our guest in this hour, and so is Thomas Lucas. More when we come forward on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Ready for a weekend reset? Walk it out with me, Gina A. Towns, the artist formerly known as Gina Darby, on Reflectivity Beyond Black and White, as we seek peace, understanding, and healing beyond surface level perspectives, where reflectivity becomes our inner power and resilience to transform our lives and our communities no matter what. Meet me and my crazy cool guests. Join the Reflectivity family movement as we make sense of it all. Every bit, every morsel. We're going to nourish the mind, body, and soul unapologetically right here on KBLA Talk 1580. Every Saturday, 2 and 8 p.m. on the West Coast, 4 and 10 in the Midwest, and 5 and 11 on the East Coast. It's time for Reflectivity Beyond Black and White. It's not only hot, it's sizzling, and we're cooking.
The KBLA 1580 app puts the realest conversations right in your pocket. Stream live wherever you are in the world. No static. No searching the dial. A crystal clear connection 24/7, exactly when you want it. We recommend that you keep automatic updates enabled. Set it and forget it. So the app stays up to date with store requirements, bug fixes, and new features as we roll them out. Download the KBLA 1580 app today and stay plugged into the conversation everyone's having.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt?
With Civic Tax Relief, they were able to save me upwards of $80,000 that I would have had to pay had I not reached out to them.
Get ready for a toll-free hotline. Take advantage of new IRS tax forgiveness programs that may protect you from IRS collection agencies.
I owe the IRS $37,000.
They have the power to garnish your wages, put liens on your property, and levy your bank account. Civic Tax Relief can help protect you from the IRS.
Civic Tax Relief basically represented me against the IRS. By the time everything was completed, I didn't owe the IRS anything.
Find out about the Fresh Start program that is now available through Civic Tax Relief. Civic Tax Relief's special tax hotline can help you discover all the relief programs available for free.
I would recommend anyone who has a tax problem to contact Civic Tax Relief.
Just call 800-285-3500, 800-285-3500. Don't wait. Call now. 800-285-3500, 800-285-3500.
You have something to say, and we want to hear it. KBLA Talk 1580 is engagement radio, not outrage radio. A place where your hopes, your frustrations, and your ideas are welcome 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Real talk, real people, real Los Angeles. KBLA Talk 1580, the station that sounds like the city looks. Tune in on your AM radio dial at 1580. Download our free KBLA 1580 app or listen live on our website at KBLA1580.com.
Unapologetically progressive. Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. In this hour, Slade Douglas joins us to lay out the factual case for subjective characterizations and the manufacture of danger. I'll deal with that in just a moment, but I also want to welcome Brother Thomas Lucas from Equal Justice Now to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Thomas, welcome forward to the show.
How you doing? Thank you so much for having us on.
I'm so grateful that you are here. In finding 6B, I find this the most explosive, the most compelling. Subjective characterizations and the manufacture of danger. The city's filings described Douglas as irate, completely irate, volatile, belligerent, agitated, upset, unstable, and non-compliant. When analyzing these words, Douglas explains how each word is interpretive, not factual. They record no crime, no resistance, and no danger. They only reflect the officer's internal state of mind, not Douglas's conduct. They don't establish evidence of a crime, threat, or resistance, only the officer's subjective mindset. Douglas shows this pattern of wording, follows an institutional playbook, one that converts perception into legality. When no crime exists, description becomes defense, Douglas says. When no threats exist, vocabulary is then used to create one. I'm wondering in this moment, Thomas Lucas, is this a finding that we are finding in cases around the country?
It happens a lot. It does happen a lot where officers deem a person a risk, and even people are calling in and saying that they were swatted on, which we believe happened in this case. It just so happened that in this case, they messed with the wrong person, an extremely well-lit military veteran that put together his own production around his case.
I need to get back in the studio.
He produced his own 30-minute documentary around this. I was introduced to him as someone that was potentially dealing with mental health issues. And after a 2-hour call with him, I had a full understanding that this wasn't that. This was a well put together young man who found himself in a situation where, he conducted himself perfectly to the T in regards to dealing with the officers, and still found himself bound to a hospital bed, being drugged up and so forth. And so to answer your question without being too long-winded, yes, it does happen a lot, but a lot of people don't know where to go when it happens.
The last time Douglas was on our program, Brother Slade Douglas, we played the actual video, the police body camera video showing the entire interaction, and it actually confirms exactly what you said, that this was not the case. This was a man of honor, Slade Douglas, a soldier, a veteran, a person who has served his country, a manufactured sense of probable cause due to external facts unrelated to the officer's arrival at Mr. Douglas's home, and then the subsequent escalating language and rhetoric that led to his arrest, his torture at the local police station. Slade, based upon your evidence and those that have come into contact with your documentary, which is very, very well done, what have you heard in terms of comments from those who have seen it and echoing voices around the country who've experienced a similar circumstances and situation?
Yes, people have been appalled by it, and a lot of individuals, high-profile individuals, which I would not state their name due to the confidentiality nature of the conversation, but they have also encountered similar experiences. However, they did not come public and speak about the matter because they was afraid it may hurt their brand. So this is something that is done to people consistently. And because of the label, again, and you're aware how when someone says someone's mentally ill and dangerous, that's automatically a form of defamation as well. And they want something to be done to stop this, because it's a situation. Me, I have no criminal record. Have not ever been in trouble with the police. In fact, I'm ex-law enforcement as well. And you would think at least if you're going to be arrested, tortured, or etc., it would be because you actually violated some law, not because it was manufactured. And now they treated you worse than they would treat El Chapo, Dylan Roof, and other guys who have committed heinous crimes.
In the city of Chicago, there was a police sergeant, I believe his name was Burge, and he was a notorious police officer known for literally the physical torture of Black men, many of whom had been falsely incarcerated, many of them had been falsely accused, but the torture was so vast and so invasive that even though Burge, I believe, is no longer with us, the cases have rendered both the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois tremendous verdicts in support of the men and women, the men in particular who've been taken advantage of by this form of torture. Brother Lucas Thomas, is it your experience with Equal Justice Now that this legislation has a chance in November by a different Congress if elected?
Absolutely. We're standing next to major civil rights attorneys like Attorney Benjamin Crump and more. We do believe we have the resources to push this forward. We are in the current early stages of vetting it and bulletproofing it. We know how these things can make the most sense as we read it, and then we bring it up for legislation, and there's all of this pushback that we get. And so we're trying to meet that ahead of time with the proper vetting and bulletproofing system, and hopefully we're successful with that.
What are you hearing about the legislation, Slade Douglas? What are you hearing about its prospects for passage, for consideration? Are you picking up support around the country?
Yes, sir. And Equal Justice Now is also helping with that. Dr. Richard Ritchie, he also recently covered it. So we're getting a lot of positive feedback and so forth. And hopefully you will join as well. You're one of the masters at, creating legislation and so forth and so on. So,
well, as you know, I'm not on Capitol Hill anymore, but I do have some.
We need to get you back there. We need to get you back there. You belong there.
My brother is in the 1st Congressional District of Illinois, and he's doing an extraordinary job on behalf of the people that he represents. I'm just wondering, how did it escalate, Slade? I've seen social media and Facebook videos where these cops simply start in one place, a taillight. They start with a license plate that may have expired, which should be just a civil offense. Sometimes it's a reminder. In Illinois, it's a little bitty sticker. If you don't remember the date, you might go a month or 2 or 3 without being pulled over by the police officers, and that's just an offense, a reminder, if you don't mind, if you understand what I'm saying, to have the license plate. But then it escalates into something else. Slade?
And that's the thing. It's subjective, right? Because if you're not committing a crime, you actually have a right to freedom of expression. Well, you would think so. And lots of times when they engage in this type of treatment toward us, when we look at the government, we are actually taxpayers. We're not paying them to abuse our rights. We're actually paying them to uphold our rights. What business do you know if they treated us the way they treat some of us in the government? We would still support that, but we don't have a choice. So we really need to change the culture and let these cops know people have a right to freedom of expression. They don't have to agree. If you don't have no investigatory authority and so forth and so on, and they're expressing themselves and you don't like it, you have to abide by that, comply with that, and let them carry on, as opposed to abusing your authority by making them feel they have done something wrong, or quote unquote detaining them under the guise of an expired sticker.
So much of this truth right here, Brother Lucas, came from the streets. And I say that because if you grew up in a Black middle-class community, it does not mean that you were immune to the police behavior. It did exist. It may not have made the cover of the newspaper or elevated to the state that Brother Douglas's case actually was elevated. But when you think about Public Enemy, right? You think about what the hardcore rappers in the early 80s were saying about the police, about their behavior. We thought it was local to them, but they moved millions of albums communicating directly with people who had a similar experience. It is as much a Black experience as it is an American experience for poor, working class. Some might even consider subcultural Americans who live in the subculture, because what do? They get profiled. They get the way they look, the colors that they wear, where their pants are located. People have expressions and make assumptions about them while using these impressions, Brother Lucas, to violate their constitutional rights.
No, absolutely. You know, it reminds me, I'm from the Bronx, New York, born and raised, and it reminds me totally of stop and frisk. You know, I was, you know, brought up in the northern part of the Bronx, which most people deem quite the suburbs of the Bronx, New York, and still I dealt with stop and frisk and, you know, was charged with the same ideology of systemic racism and policing that got Slade in this, Mr. Douglas in this situation. And so I definitely concur, and you know, it's something that we fight and stand against as an organization.
Lucas, what kind of Brother Lucas, what kind of organization is it going to take around the country to make this a pivotal issue in the November elections?
I think it's going to take an organization like Equal Justice Now. You know, I can speak for ourselves. You know, it takes an organization that, you know, knows how to bring both sides to the table. We have and produce national discussion panels on mental health and bail reform and over policing and so forth. And, you know, in order to get legislation passed these days, you know, we have to get both sides in the room. And we specialize in that with the help of Attorney Crump and the rest of our value system. And so, you know, I think Equal Justice Now is a foot in when it comes to that kind of conversation and pushing legislation forward. It's still going to be a heck of a fight. But with cases like, you know, Slade Douglas and his matter, it's quite clear why he won his case. And we're just taking it a step further to create this legislation so that others don't have to deal with it.
You know, I find it somewhat interesting that the high-profile cases, and this is not to suggest that these are not very, very serious cases, like the Nolan Wells case. Many of these cases don't end up with allegations, or they don't end up with the death of the so-called alleged defendant in these cases. The vast majority of our cases are not at the level of Nolan Wells. They're not at the level of someone hanging themselves or whatever's taking place in that investigation in Raleigh, North Carolina, or these young people who are being found, and the young woman who was found, I believe, recently in Mississippi, being hung by her neck in the back of a home. They don't rise to that level. But the thousands of cases that actually exist regarding what happened to Brother Slade Douglas, that happens in the Bronx, that happens to every single one of us and our children. This is seemingly normative behavior of what it means to be young and Black in America. Slade Douglas?
Absolutely. And that's another thing as well. When they do this, they want us to react a certain way. And then they use that against you, because you don't have to speak to the police if you don't want to, but what they do, they escalate that matter as well. So instead of them protecting our rights and being good servants to the people that they serve and protect and supposed to protect, they're going around, a lot of them. Now, we do have some good police officers, but a lot of them are going around engaging in intimidation and bullying tactics as well. And then again, as soon as you start saying something, they want to escalate the matter. But some people legitimately are extremely afraid of the cops. So if a police officer have an encounter with them and they start shaking or something, that doesn't mean that that's reasonable suspicion of a crime. So they use a lot of subjectivism to try to create probable cause and escalate the encounter, when, as you're aware, Terry versus Ohio Supreme Court case law states that they cannot manufacture reasonable suspicion and so forth and so on. So we just got to focus on the culture to make them stop thinking just because they speak to a person and a person exercise a constitutional right by declining to speak to them, that they can escalate that and turn into an investigatory encounter.
Speaking of the culture, I remember when the president of the United States was campaigning, and he told police officers to shove them in the back of the car. Make sure you hit them in the head. That's the kind of culture I think that Slade is talking about. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580 with Thomas Lucas and Slade Douglas when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. The investigation continues into a shooting at a Robbins, Illinois restaurant that left Black Mayor Darren Bryant with minor injuries. Village spokesman Sean Howard.
Fortunately, it was isolated. The mayor wasn't the intended target, and we're just praying for everyone involved.
Authorities say the suspected gunman was fatally shot by a private security guard, while a restaurant employee was also wounded. A Black 18-year-old North Carolina woman is facing child abuse and assault charges after authorities say Saisha Jaden Johnson took abortion pills late in her pregnancy and gave birth at home at 31 weeks. The baby survived, and she, along with the baby's father, posted a $1,000 bond with charges pending. And LL Cool J is bringing the Rock the Bells Festival back to Newark this fall. The November event at Prudential Center will feature performances by Lil' Kim, SWV, and Method Man and Redman as part of the celebration of Hip Hop History Month. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
There's a problem with the Lakers' $12.5 billion sale to Joshua Kushner and former Disney chairman Bob Iger. Jeannie Buss, who owns 17.8% of the Lakers, is refusing to give up her percentage of the franchise. A court order in 2017 gave Jeannie and her 4 siblings the right to block any sale of the Lakers without their approval. The 4 siblings have agreed to give up their percentage, but Jeannie is holding out. The court order indicates that all 5 children of former Lakers owner Jerry Buss must agree to give up their percentage. Jeannie has gotten her lawyer involved and is prepared to go to court to resolve the matter. One of the issues is that Jeannie wants to remain the Lakers representative at the NBA Board of Governors meetings. The Dodgers pulled away for an 11-5 win at Colorado Monday night. 2 homers by Shohei Ohtani, a 3-run shot by Max Muncy. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Where the overlooked become unmissable, this is KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about. Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
All I need is one mic.
With the KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dionne Raymond, Justice Correspondent and host of the Justice Files. For years, LA City Councilman Curran Price has served his district. And for years, he's been under a legal cloud which, frankly, looks thinner every time it's tested in court. Last Friday, a Superior Court judge refused to throw out the corruption case against Price. That's true. But listen to what the judge actually said while doing it. Judge Larry Paul Fiddler called this not a great case. Not our words, his. Price's attorney, standing right there in the courtroom, said it plainly. In denying our motion, the court acknowledged that this is not a great case. We agree. Now, that's not a ringing endorsement of a prosecution. That's a judge saying, essentially, there's just enough here to send it to a jury. Barely. The ruling itself says nothing about guilt. It's not proof of wrongdoing. What it is a low bar, cleared by a thin margin, on evidence the court itself has called circumstantial. Councilman Price has pleaded not guilty. He denies the allegations. And after 3 terms representing his district, he's term limited and on his way out of office, regardless of how this case ends, which raises a fair question. What exactly is served? By dragging a longtime champion for working families in South Los Angeles through a trial that even the presiding judge doesn't sound confident about. We're not saying elected officials should not be held accountable. They should. But accountability means something different from a prosecution that struggles to convince the very judge overseeing it. Curran Price deserves his day in court, and he deserves the presumption of innocence any one of us would want for ourselves or a loved one, especially when the bench itself has doubts. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Deanne Raymond, Justice Correspondent and host of the Justice Files. As always, we welcome your feedback.
What's good, KBLA delegation? I am Miles Lowe, and I'm excited to be joining the weekend lineup right here on KBLA Talk 1580. Join me every Saturday at 12 noon for the Do Better Show, where we get into the world of tech, AI, the creator economy, navigating your mental health through it all, and have conversations with founders to find out how real people are making real money right now. It's not a course, not a subscription. Class is in session every weekend, live on the air. So if you knew better, you do better, right? So let's make a better you. The Do Better Show, every Saturday, 12 noon, and replaying again at 7 p.m. right here on Unapologetically Progressive KBLA Talk 1580. We got a lot to talk.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. KBLA Talk 1580.
It's Tenacious Tuesday on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, and our very special guest is none other than Slade Douglas, a central figure in the groundbreaking documentary Slade Douglas versus the City of Los Angeles, the veteran they tried to silence, a powerful investigative documentary grounded in documented facts, legal filings, official records, and verifiable evidence. Slade, welcome forward to the show. Slade, welcome forward to the show. And also Thomas Lucas, Senior Administrator of Equal Justice Now. Equal Justice is an organization focused on advocating for police reform, addressing systemic racism, and combating voter suppression. Brother Lucas, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Great, thanks to be back.
Brother Lucas, let me ask you a question. Share with us some of the other work at this hour that Equal Justice Now is engaged in across the country.
Absolutely. We've had a great deal of success with Attorney Benjamin Crump, our national spokesperson, on bringing education to the masses, specifically the college-age students of America. We've been on tour now for about 4 years, coming up against and with partnership with Houston University, Texas Southern University, Memphis University, and so on. We're actually looking at partnering shortly here in Louisiana with Grambling State University. And what we do with these national discussion panels is bring everyone left and right to the discussion to cover topics and bring education around police reform, bail reform, mental health, voter suppression, systemic racism. And with these conversations, we're able to get in judges, DAs, police chiefs, bail bondsmen, community activists. And so to us, education and, is the first layer of bringing that change. And so, we're highly focused on producing our next panel discussion in the now. We also have in the coming year our annual Equal Justice Now Attorney Benjamin Crump Awards Gala, where we award some of the powers that be in the criminal justice and social justice reform areas. And so, that's what we focus on, on the daily basis, along with standing behind cases like Slade Douglas's and, stepping into these engagement opportunities to put ourselves more out there and stand with folk that have done right.
Brother Lucas, another question, if you don't mind, and then I'm going to come right back to Slade. The climate in this country has changed, making the work of equal justice now even more important and more valuable than ever. Have you noticed the uptick in these cases as it relates to African Americans?
Yes, I think anyone that says no is not paying attention. It's really unfortunate to wake up every week, it seems, and hear that, there's been another African American person hung from a tree. And then to double that with the idea that it's constantly being called a suicide. And so, we've been at it as an organization since right before George Floyd time, and standing with his family behind the scenes and out of the spotlight, doing the on the ground work, till today. And we still are next to Attorney Benjamin Crump, in the Noel, Carmelo Anthony and, Noel case as well. It's really a tough fight. It's really hard on the emotions to even have these conversations, right? We, try not to get desensitized when it comes to these topics. I know for me, this has been a fight as a young Black man my entire life. I feel blessed to be able to stand with an organization like Equal Justice Now, so to where I feel as though I'm a part of something bigger than just the individuality of things going into that fight. But yes, it is a tough time. It is an extremely huge uptick. And I think racism, systemic racism, prejudiceness plays a huge part in it. And, we're just moving forward. It's not going to stop us.
I appreciate that, Brother Lucas. I do want to turn, if I can, pivot to Slade for just a moment. Slade, I know what it means to be involved in the criminal justice system or the things that I did wrong. I also know what it means for the government to put an enormous amount of pressure on you, to put pressure on your family and your friends in that process. One of the reasons I pled guilty for my offense is because emotionally, it was extremely burdensome. The burden that it was taking, the weight that it was taking on me, on my immediate family, on my parents and others was just catastrophic. There's a part of me that just wanted to get it over with. And the depression that accompanied it was so great. In your case, you had done absolutely nothing wrong. And yet you found yourself in the very process that others have found themselves in who may or may not have done anything wrong. Can you share with us what that mental state is like and the difficulty of overcoming that kind of traumatic damage as well?
And again, thank you for sharing that with us. That's very powerful. And again, thank you for being such a leader to the country and helping us as it relates to these matters. And in regards to your question, it was extremely, because it was a defamation element to that as well. In fact, that I'm actually still dealing with. And that's another thing about this legislation as well. It's going to address defamation, because whenever you label someone mentally ill and dangerous, that's going to affect their reputation as well.
Forever. Yes. I mean, I have people walk up to me every day and ask me, am I all right? I'm like, there's nothing wrong with me.
That's right.
Have you ever had the government call everybody you know and threaten to lock them all up?
Right.
And you're like, no, stop calling. These are my offenses. These have nothing to do with my friends, my family. And then even after the process, if you own the behavior, the way people look at you and treat you and trying to find a job becomes equally as difficult in that process as well. Slade?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And that's why something has to be done about it. And you're a testament and a role model to what can be accomplished. And I would love it if you was a president of the United States. Here we have somebody who's president of the United States who's been, accused of over 24 felonies. But again, as a Black man, we don't get those opportunities. That's why it's important for us to even conduct ourselves to a high standard. And we start talking about engaging with law enforcement, we have to make sure that we conduct ourselves better. Yeah, we do have the right constitutional rights, but when we see they're actually being denied, we just got to make sure we're able to survive that encounter, because that's actually designed also to cause us more trauma, right? And anytime we encounter them, right, they do not to me, it appears as though a lot of law enforcement do not want to communicate with some of our brothers and sisters. They want us to be afraid. They want us to be fearful, especially when you look at a city like Los Angeles. They even have it where if a crime is committed, they actually have a non-criminal line. So if you call them about a crime, they don't even respond to it. So we just have to do a lot of things to strengthen the culture. We got to do a lot of things to more educate people and let them know, like if you're stopped by the cops while driving, before they even come up to your vehicle, you should already have your license, your driver license out the window and your insurance, because by law, yes, sir.
Brother Slade, I got to go to a commercial break now. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More with Slade Douglas and Brother Thomas Lucas when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Lots of places can expose you to identity theft.
Oh no.
That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity, which is way more than anyone can do on their own. If we find anything suspicious, like new loans or changes to your financial accounts, we alert you right away, all through text, phone, email, or the LifeLock app. Get the alerts that could make all the difference. Save up to 30% with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight illnesses like pneumococcal pneumonia and RSV. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and can help protect you from getting really sick. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. See more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Created with a share of the 1984 Olympic Games surplus, LA 84 began operations in 1985 as a grant-making and educational foundation. Today, the LA 84 Foundation supports hundreds of nonprofit youth sports organizations throughout Southern California annually, trains coaches, commissions research, convenes conferences, and maintains the world's premier Olympic and sports library collection. They are transforming lives and communities through the power of youth sports. To find out about youth sports programs for yourself or your child, and to get information about the grants and support they offer to schools and nonprofits, or if you want to make a donation, please visit la84.org. That's la84.org. Or you can call them at 323-730-4600. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project.
Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail, because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Onyx, I keep having stomach issues. Please make me a doctor's appointment.
Okay. Are you suffering from diarrhea, bloating, gas, or oily stools? If so, you may want to ask your doctor if it could actually be a problem with your pancreas, called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI.
My pancreas? How is EPI treated?
A prescription medicine like Creon, pancrelipase, is used to treat people who can't digest food normally because their pancreas doesn't make enough enzymes. Creon is the #1 prescribed treatment for EPI.
Creon may increase your chance of fibrosing colonopathy, a rare bowel disorder. Tell your doctor if you have a history of intestinal blockage or scarring or thickening of your bowel wall, if you are allergic to pork, or if you have gout, kidney problems, or worsening of painful swollen joints. Call your doctor if you have any unusual or severe gastrointestinal symptoms or allergic reactions. Take Creon as directed by your doctor and always with food. Do not chew capsules, as this may cause mouth irritation. Other side effects may include blood sugar changes, gas, dizziness, sore throat, and cough. These are not all the side effects of Creon. You can learn more at 1-800-633-9110.
Before your appointment, visit creoninfo.com. That's CREON info.com.
Just in case you missed our Procrastination Crenshaw
Crenshaw Town Hall.
My name is Bronwyn, and I've been in this neighborhood for 65 years.
All righty.
I was raised here, right on Crenshaw Boulevard. Ancestry, legacy, everything. No parking. In regards to our elderly, in regards to trying to get from one end to the other, 48th and 50th Street is a dead zone. You got to get off the bus and you got to make your way down in the middle of the block. I'm right across the street. I understand one of the things. I am happy to see you guys. I've been in too many meetings where you weren't there. I understand those who own the buildings and your properties. I understand those who rent from you. Here it is. Why can't we invest in each other?
Making sure they follow through. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Don't be anxious or confused about AI. Take control of your career when you get the skills to tackle real business problems and design specialized solutions. HR Dive reported that entry-level talent with applied AI credentials can receive up to a 25% salary boost. But where do you find training that you can trust? Future-proof your career and deliver more value with Humans Lead the Way AI. Their hybrid learning courses use practical definitions, real-world examples, and strategic insights to help you and your team understand AI with confidence. No magic, no hacks, no shortcuts. Just practical knowledge that helps you use AI more successfully. Don't wait. AI can never replace people who know how to use it well. Register for courses today at humansleadtheway.com. That's humansleadtheway.com.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 15.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. It's Tenacious Tuesday on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our very special guest is none other than Slade Douglas, an American hero, a veteran who was victimized by police under a series of false assumptions, leading in a lawsuit to a punitive award against the city of Los Angeles for $6.8 million. He is now also pursuing defamation actions, suggesting that there was something wrong with him in that process, and none of it was true. None of it was true. Slade Douglas has now turned that into essentially a ministry, and that ministry has led to greater civic activism, which I'd like to hear his thoughts on in just a moment. And I also want to welcome Thomas Lucas in this final segment, Senior Administrator of Equal Justice Now. He's been working very closely with Ben Crump in bringing these issues forward, not only in Los Angeles, but across the country. Slade, welcome forward to the show.
Thank you, sir.
Slade, civic activism. You didn't just stop with what happened to you. You're now advocating legislation, but more than that, you're out in Los Angeles registering voters. You're educating people. Tell us how that's going.
Yes, sir. It's going wonderful. Like I say, I'm following in your footsteps, and also your father. He definitely paved the way for all of us. So that's why I say it's always an honor to be with you. And you know a lot of the things that has to be done, and that's why it's a pleasure to be on your show as well. But it's going great, sir.
Well, I'm excited to hear that, and that's really a ministry. The things that happen to us are life-changing events, and then we start thinking about our neighbors. We think about those who cannot speak for themselves, and that's exactly what Slade Douglas has done, and he should be commended for it. Thomas Lucas, let me ask you a final question or two, if you don't mind, about the work of Equal Justice Now. Organizations like yours are under attack in this administration. When I look at the Southern Poverty Law Center and I think about civil rights organizations and the behavior, Brother Lucas, of the Department of Justice itself, the weaponization of it, how does it feel to operate in this space?
Well, you know, we operate with the biggest civil rights attorney, Attorney Benjamin Crump. We're constantly, as a whole, under a lot of, I'll say it like this, Jesse Jackson, we get a lot of threats, and that's okay. We still travel the country. We still tour for our national discussion panels. We do get a lot of pressure in that way from other organizations who aren't like-minded, I'll say. This is how the fight has always been, right? From Martin Luther King to your dad to yourself and the rest of us. It's kind of the norm. We look at ourselves and Attorney Benjamin Crump and Slade Douglas and yourself as the modern day heroes because we are pushing forward this fight. And so I know we're coming to an end here. I don't want to get too long-winded, but yes, it is a lot these days. It's revved up a lot since George Floyd's time, but we're not stopping. We're keeping it moving.
I appreciate that very much, Thomas. Slade, we have just a few minutes before we come forward. I always leave for our guests an opportunity to offer our listeners a word of hope. Slade, why don't you take 2 minutes and offer the nation a word of hope?
Yeah, just keep doing everything you can to be the best person you can. Mr. Lucas and the Honorable Jackson spoke about how you should always love family and also love thy neighbor. We don't have enough love in this country today. We continue to be divided, and we have to understand we all share the same common goals, purposes. We all want our children to be successful. We all want to have a good life. So what do we do to make that happen? We love each other, and it will continue to grow. And if you don't mind, sir, I'll turn the last few minutes over to Mr. Lucas.
Mr. Lucas, a word of hope.
Yes, absolutely. I side with everything Mr. Douglas just said. And, the last thing I would like everyone to know is, and to remember is, in regards to Mr. Douglas's case, this literally could happen to anyone. Okay. We often don't pay attention to what's going on until it happens to us or someone close to us. But I want everyone to remember that this could happen to anyone. We can all deal with officers at any given time. Take a look at the documentary that Mr. Douglas produced, and it is literally the spitting image of what we would suggest and how we would suggest you handle yourself in that situation. And so please, please, please pay attention. Please get the education, and please stay in tune.
Slade, where can we find the documentary?
I have the documentary on YouTube, sir. It's Slade Douglas v. City of Los Angeles.
Slade Douglas v. versus the City of Los Angeles.
Yes,
Slade
sir.
Douglas v. the City of Los Angeles is on YouTube. It's a 30-minute documentary. It's very compelling. And as Thomas Lucas said, the way in which Mr. Douglas behaved is a testament to his service to our nation as a former veteran. I want to say that in Montgomery, it wasn't that African Americans had not sat down on the bus before. It's just that Rosa Parks behaved, and she conducted herself in a way that was beyond repute. And therefore, she not only was right, as we all can be right, she had moral authority on her side. That's what made the difference. Moral authority. And that's exactly what Slade Douglas has on his side in this campaign with Equal Justice Now. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on Tenacious Tuesday. We got a lot to talk about when we come forward with our very special guests in just a moment.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. The investigation continues into a shooting at a Robbins, Illinois restaurant that left Black Mayor Darren Bryant with minor injuries. Village spokesman Sean Howard.
Fortunately, it was isolated. The mayor wasn't the intended target, and we're just praying for everyone involved.
Authorities say the suspected gunman was fatally shot by a private security guard, while a restaurant employee was also wounded. A Black 18-year-old North Carolina woman is facing child abuse and assault charges after authorities say Saisha Jaden Johnson took abortion pills late in her pregnancy and gave birth at home at 31 weeks. The baby survived, and she, along with the baby's father, posted a $1,000 bond with charges pending. And LL Cool J is bringing the Rock the Bells Festival back to Newark this fall. The November event at Prudential Center will feature performances by Lil Kim, SWV, and Method Man and Redman as part of the celebration of Hip Hop History Month. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
There's a problem with the Lakers' $12.5 billion sale to Joshua Kushner and former Disney chairman Bob Iger. Jeannie Buss, who owns 17.8% of the Lakers, is refusing to give up her percentage of the franchise. A court order in 2017 gave Jeannie and her 4 siblings the right to block any sale of the Lakers without their approval. The 4 siblings have agreed to give up their percentage, but Jeannie is holding out. The court order indicates that all 5 children of former Lakers owner Jerry Buss must agree to give up their percentage. Jeannie has gotten her lawyer involved and is prepared to go to court to resolve the matter. One of the issues is that Jeannie wants to remain the Lakers representative at the NBA Board of Governors meetings. The Dodgers pulled away for an 11-5 win at Colorado Monday night. 2 homers by Shohei Ohtani, a 3-run shot by Max Muncy. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. My big mama used to say that there are 24 hours in a day, 12 hours to mind your business, and 12 hours to leave other folks' business alone. So let's talk about our business, Crenshaw business. For over 5 years now, the good people of the Crenshaw corridor have lived in a gated community, but not by choice. Gates, fences, barricades, limited street access, closed lots, and then some. By now, you've heard the stories from the folk who've lived this nightmare. Business owners have lost customers. A charter school lost students. A veterinarian lost clients. Churches have lost members. And still, Procrastination Crenshaw sits unfinished. And when I say sits unfinished, I mean sits unfinished. Nobody was seduced by the Jedi mind trick they tried to play when they ran that headline on the front page of a local black newspaper about the project restarting in weeks. I mean, come see for yourself. The only trucks on Crenshaw are deconstruction trucks. It took a minute, but to her credit, LA Mayor Karen Bass showed up and she's leaning in on getting our parking back. But think about this for just a second. LA is not Chocolate City, and yet we are blessed to have a black mayor and a black city council president. But where is the black city council president? Where is Marquise Harris Dawson? This is his project in his district, but he has been strangely quiet. Did you notice in the recent Los Angeles Times story about Procrastination Crenshaw that neither Marquise Harris Dawson nor Destination Crenshaw had a word to say on the record? The silence was deafening. When people ask me why the silence, all I can say is, good question. As a reminder, the Crenshaw Corridor community sent him a letter, and it laid out real demands. A public timeline, relief for the businesses that have suffered, and an audit. At the moment, the last one matters most, the audit. Here's the thing. The foundation money, the private donations, that's their business. But this project is also funded by city money, state money, and federal money. I refer you back to the front page story in that black newspaper where they all talked about this. Go read it again. In any event, it's your money. And when public money goes into a $100 million project that still sits unfinished, the public has a right to see where every dollar went. Contracts, budgets, payments, schedules. That's not too much to ask. Again, it's your money. Our letter gave Mr. Harris Dawson a deadline, Friday, September 4th, to respond. The clock is ticking, Mr. President. 12 hours to mind the public's business. And this is one of them. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
How did you want it?
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 15.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It's Tenacious Tuesday, and normally in this segment of our program, we're on the grind with Barbara Arnwine, but Dr. Karen McCray is our very special guest in this hour, standing in, or sitting in, if you will, for Barbara Arnwine. She's the president and CEO of the National Organization of Concerned Black Men. She's the first female to serve in this position. Before CBM, Karen served as the fundraising director for Church World Service, executive director for the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, and executive director of the organization founded by Dr. Carter G. Woodson, the founder of Black History Month, the Association for the Study of Afro-American Life and History. She's also served as executive director of one of the nation's leading organizations comprised of senior African-American corporate executives of Fortune 500 companies. Karen, welcome forward to the show.
Welcome. Thank you for having me. How you doing?
I am so glad that you are here, and I'm also honored that Dr. Joanne Frederick, known as the Practitioner Scholar, is an associate professor of counseling in the Division of Child, Family, and Community Engagement within the College of Education and Human Development at George Mason University. Dr. Frederick prepares graduate students to be professional counselors. She specializes in treating people with anxiety, depression, relationship issues, terminal illnesses, and learning disabilities. Save for terminal illness, knock on wood, I could probably lay comfortably on Dr. Joanne Frederick's couch. She has a LPC, DC, LPC, MD, VA. That's a whole lot of alphabets on the back of her name. I am so grateful, Dr. Frederick, that you're with us today.
Thank you so much, and I am honored to be here. Nice to meet you.
I'm so honored that you're here as well. And I think I should probably begin, Dr. McCray, with Dr. Frederick. One of the things that so many of us are concerned about, and it was brought up in the last hour, it's the number of African Americans, particularly African American men, who find themselves dangling from a tree, lynchings.
Yes.
And it is playing strange fruit, if you will, for those of us who are familiar with the song from, I think, the 1940s that was so profound in laying the foundation for our movement, particularly in the Deep South. The psychological impact of a generation of young people who grew up in an era of so much hope and so much promise that was the Obama era, to be pivoting to the Jim Crow era so quickly. Your thoughts on how and the way in which we are processing the feelings associated with this moment?
Yeah. So my first thought is mental health is our greatest wealth. And first, I express condolences to the families who have a direct impact on these lynchings that we're referring to, but also a reminder that even people who are not connected in any way, there's something that we call vicarious trauma, which is watching it on television, on social media, hearing it, having conversations, and the trauma that it brings to Black people, Black youth. And so those are my thoughts on that we have to be mindful that it is still traumatizing, even from back then to now, these types of incidents.
I think as well that we cannot ask Black people to look at Black bodies hanging from a tree and forget about the history of this country. We know that the noose carries a particular historical reference: lynching, racial terror, intimidation, and social control. And as long as we are being asked, so to speak, to erase our history, we cannot dismiss what the impact of these situations are, because our history in America dictates that we understand what the noose stands for. and its sense of social control. We have to be mindful of not just of this tragedy, but what it's supposed to instill on the community, the level of fear and trauma it is supposed to, in my opinion, inflict on our society.
Dr. McCray, Dr. Frederick, looking very much forward to our conversation. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward with these two wonderful professional women, doctors, who have some insights on the psychological trauma that we're all experiencing as we watch strange fruit dangling from American trees. More on KBLA Talk 1580 in just a moment.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
The KBLA 1580 app puts the realest conversations right in your pocket. Stream live wherever you are in the world. No static. No searching the dial. A crystal clear connection 24/7, exactly when you want it. We recommend that you keep automatic updates enabled. Set it and forget it. So the app stays up to date with store requirements, bug fixes, and new features as we roll them out. Download the KBLA 1580 app today and stay plugged into the conversation everyone's having.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt?
With Civic Tax Relief, they were able to save me upwards of $80,000 that I would have had to pay had I not reached out to them.
Get ready for a toll-free hotline. Take advantage of new IRS tax forgiveness programs that may protect you from IRS collection agencies.
I owe the IRS $37,000.
They have the power to garnish your wages, put liens on your property, and levy your bank account. Civic Tax Relief can help protect you from the IRS.
Civic Tax Relief basically represented me against the IRS. By the time everything was completed, I didn't owe the IRS anything.
Find out about the Fresh Start program that is now available through Civic Tax Relief. Civic Tax Relief's special tax hotline can help you discover all the relief programs available for free.
I would recommend anyone who has a tax problem to contact Civic Tax Relief.
Just call 800-285-3500, 800-285-3500. Don't wait, call now, 800-285-3500, 800-285-3500.
There is no denying that we've always been the conscience of this country. KBLA Talk 1580 is progressive talk radio built for our community, by our community, and with hosts who look like you, live near you, and care about what you care about. 50,000 watts of truth right here in Southern California. KBLA Talk 1580. Listen live on your AM radio dial at 1580 or stream us live on our KBLA1580.com website or on our free KBLA 1580 app.
Unapologetically progressive. Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Dr. Karen McCray is president and CEO of the National Organization of Concerned Black Men. She was the executive director of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation and executive director of the organization founded by Dr. Carter G. Woodson, founder of Black History Month, the Association for the Study of Afro-American Life and History. Honored that Dr. McCray is on our program today. And Dr. Joanne Frederick, known as the Practitioner Scholar. She has been in the field of counseling for over 30 years as a university professor, a counselor in private practice, and the co-founder, executive director of a nonprofit that offers free to low-cost counseling services to disenfranchised communities. Ladies, welcome forward to the show.
Thank you.
Dr. McCray, if I might, I think this is going to get worse. And by that, I mean, I have argued with scholars on this program who keep advocating for a third Reconstruction. But my read on American history is there is a pre-construction period, a construction period, like we're building a house, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. Then there is a deconstruction period, the American Civil War. And then there's a brief Reconstruction period, then Jim Crow, and then Second Reconstruction. As Second Reconstruction apparently is coming to an end, we're entering, and many have advocated, I believe this correctly, Nicole Hannah-Jones and Dr. Kimberly Crenshaw have argued that this is a new Jim Crow, and I agree with that because the violence is real, and we just can't skip over it to get to a third Reconstruction without this intermittent period based upon our history of what's really taking place right here. I raise this question because as former executive director of the Congressional Black Caucus, when I, for example, look at the Nolan Wells case, a case where the young man lost his life under whatever circumstances have yet to be determined officially, it was on federal land. But there's no Park Service investigation into his death or a death on federal land. There's no FBI investigation into a death on federal land. In fact, the U.S. government arrested 7 people regarding the reflecting pool, and there hasn't been a single federal subpoena issued to find out more information about what may or may not have happened to Nolan Wells. And therefore, from my perspective, without federal protection, leaving many of these issues to the states, this is going to get worse before it gets better.
No doubt about it. I think as well, too, what we might want to factor in there when we have a Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice that has said that they want white people to introduce complaints of when they believe they were infringed upon or racially profiled of the like. We have, you're absolutely right, no sense of federal protections anymore from the Department of Justice. And I agree. When you look at, and I pulled the numbers out earlier today of the numbers of increase in the numbers between 2024 and 2026 of, folks who were supposedly hung themselves without any sense of federal inquiry. It is going to get worse before it gets better. That's why leaders like Ben Crump, yourself, and others are so important. We have to continue to request and require not just transparency, but investigation. And if we must do it ourselves, we must do it ourselves collectively. It's too important just to let it go. It's as if our young people are looking and wondering, are the rights that my grandparents or great-grandparents that they fought for, was it worth it? And it was. It remains worth it. It is incumbent upon us not to let the ball drop again. I think there's a generation in which that occurred. When we got comfortable, we got complacent. We don't have to fight anymore. Oh, who wants to march? We don't want to march. We don't want to do any marching. You know what? We have to pick up the baton for them and walk through this jointly, collectively, collaboratively, asking for transparency and do the investigation ourselves.
Dr. Frederick, are we becoming numb to it? To pick up on Dr. McCrae's point, is the trauma that overwhelming that we are losing some sense of what the appropriate response should be collectively to this kind of trauma and crisis?
I believe so. I believe that we are becoming numb because we see it so many different places, including social media. And so it becomes the norm for different generations to just see it, hear it, and okay, here we go again. We decide to distract ourselves by doing other things. But to Dr. McCrae's point, that we have to remember that we are still resilient people. We are still people of hope, and we're still people who are able to stand up for our rights and advocate in a variety of different ways. So even, and I'm talking about social media again, because there's a certain generation that this is the communication. We can advocate even with social media. And how we do that is we continue to keep the stories alive so that it's not buried. So for example, Nolan Wells, we continue to keep people informed of what is not happening. And I love what you said, Jesse Jackson, which was about how, we're investigating other things, small things, but we're not investigating human life, especially Black people's lives. And so, yes, we're becoming numb, but we can continue to have these types of conversation and also keeping mental health in the forefront of these conversations. How does it affect us mentally?
Dr. Frederick, I'm unapologetically someone who talks to someone and talks to my therapist on a regular basis. I have never needed to be medicated, but being Jesse Jackson Jr. is what it is. I mean, I wake up and see these stories and I take them personally.
Yes.
And I feel like there's something I should do. I feel compelled to do something. I don't know what it is, but are there other ways, maybe micro ways within which our people are handling this trauma, but they're not talking about it? Are we consuming more liquor? Are we smoking more drugs? Are we finding ways to handle what's going on that are not healthy?
That 100% yes. So other things that we are doing, we are getting angry and we are throwing that anger on other people. So whether it is at work, co-workers, bosses, and even driving, what we call road rage, that is what we're doing with this anger and what we can do. So I think what you're doing is something that we could continue to do, which is opening these conversations and inviting people. But another thing that we can do is allow people to share their stories about how they feel when these things happen, ask those questions, but also be able to listen to the feedback that the youth, older generation, the middle generation, like, how are you feeling? And when we're able to listen, even though things may not change right away, but we have a space and a place to share. Another thing, what I love what you do is if we do talk about what we're going through to professionals, we need to say that, because now we're setting an example to other people that it is okay to have a mental health therapist in your life.
Mm-hmm. Dr. McCray, I did want to touch upon your particular expertise and knowledge base dealing with the Congressional Black Caucus, and as having headed an organization founded by Carter G. Woodson. I'm thinking in this moment that against the backdrop of this history, the sense of powerlessness that we feel from our elected officials in Congress, Democrats are not in the majority. We feel as if we're being run over and that there is no guardrail against kinds of trauma that we are experiencing. And I'm not so sure, after serving 17 years in Congress, that as a Congressional Black Caucus or a Congressional Hispanic Caucus, we did not equate the mental health of the country to what we were doing to defend them from Washington while they were experiencing various forms of trauma at home. That sense of powerlessness, Dr. McCray.
I'm seasoned enough to remember when the Congressional Black Caucus was termed the conscience of the caucus, and it actually was. And I think that as it has expanded, we've talked about this before, when it was a smaller number of members, they understood their purpose, they understood their range, they understood their community as a whole. And now we have larger numbers, and so we've kind of shrunk ourselves, because if you look what happened, transition of power, we no longer control heads, we're no longer heads of committees or subcommittees or anything like that. So we've been diminished and to some extent neutered with respect to how they've gone after leadership, internal and external leadership within the caucus. And one of the things that I actually wrote down, if you don't mind, I'm going to read it, is that our ancestors understood something that we sometimes forget. Political power and personal freedom are connected. I think that's one of the strategic advantages the Congressional Black Caucus had, where they understood the connection between their power and personal freedoms and the disintegration of personal freedoms. And what we're seeing and experiencing now is the disintegration of that. Now they're trying to come back, but I think what our young people in our community is begging for is if they're making it harder for us to vote, if they're going after DEI, if they are nearly hundreds of thousands of Black women who've lost their jobs, and the connectedness and the security of federal employment, how that stability impacts our families is what disintegrates or weakens our communities. And I think that the caucus has been slow to the plate with respect to making that connection and then implementing. If you can't do it legislatively, you do it in the streets, so to speak, and having a loud enough voice. And I think we've dropped the ball on that.
You know, Dr. McCray, Dr. Raphael Warnock says that a vote is a kind of prayer that we cast or that we offer for the kind of world that we want to build. And I'm not so sure, to your point, no Gus Hawkins, no John Conyers, no John Lewis, no Ron Dellum,
Julian Dixon, Mickey Leland.
Absolutely. There's this group that was considered Perrin Mitchell, that was considered the conscience of the Congress. They understood the psychological impact of their putting up the fight every day and what it meant for those of us who are watching them through the television sets, giving us a sense of courage. I want to raise that Raphael Warnock point because, Dr. Frederick, we're not helpless. No. We're not helpless in this process. There is a way nonviolently to fight, but I'm not so sure we make the connection that Dr. McCray made between personal freedom and the power that we do have to change this. There are other forms of nonviolent resistance that are not just the vote. I mean, there's getting out here and registering people. That's good psychological therapy. Talking hope into somebody or preaching hope into somebody who doesn't believe in themselves or that their vote does not count. That's good therapy too. Activism, Dr. Frederick, is also a way of combating our sense of hopelessness.
Yes, I agree with that. But I also think that fear will make people not do what they are allowed to do and can do. So, for example, I was helping, with voting registration and allowing people to come in and vote. And we noticed that people weren't coming. And this is in Maryland, I'm referring to specifically. And we wondered, well, what is going on? So then we sat and thought about the fear that has been portrayed over the media about if you come, there's long lines or you won't get any water and just stuff that the community thinks about. Thus, they don't even come out. And so we have to encourage people to not be fearful. Be faithful. We are a faithful group of people that understands the power of God, the power of love. And when we focus on the positivity, we're able to move forward and continue pushing through.
I'm not so sure our listeners fully caught everything that Dr. Frederick actually said because she mentioned one of the hounds of hell from Dr. Howard Thurman. She didn't get to deception or hatred, but then she went right to love. Which is where Dr. Thurman eventually took those of us who had to take an inward journey in this struggle that we find ourselves in. Very grateful to have two of the brightest minds in this space and in this country. Dr. McCray and Dr. Frederick will be joining us more on KBLA Talk 1580 in just a moment. We're talking about the hounds of hell now, something we all know something about.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. The investigation continues into a shooting at a Robbins, Illinois restaurant that left Black Mayor Darren Bryant with minor injuries. Village spokesman Sean Howard.
Fortunately, it was isolated. The mayor wasn't the intended target, and we're just praying for everyone involved.
Authorities say the suspected gunman was fatally shot by a private security guard while a restaurant employee was also wounded. A Black 18-year-old North Carolina woman is facing child abuse and assault charges after authorities say Saisha Jaden Johnson took abortion pills late in her pregnancy and gave birth at home at 31 weeks. The baby survived, and she, along with the baby's father, posted a $1,000 bond with charges pending. And LL Cool J is bringing the Rock the Bells Festival back to Newark this fall. The November event at Prudential Center will feature performances by Lil' Kim, SWV, and Method Man and Redman as part of the celebration of Hip Hop History Month. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
There's a problem with the Lakers' $12.5 billion sale to Joshua Kushner and former Disney chairman Bob Iger. Jeannie Buss, who owns 17.8% of the Lakers, is refusing to give up her percentage of the franchise. A court order in 2017 gave Jeannie and her four siblings the right to block any sale of the Lakers without their approval. The four siblings have agreed to give up their percentage, but Jeannie is holding out. The court order indicates that all five children of former Lakers owner Jerry Buss must agree to give up their percentage. Jeannie has gotten her lawyer involved and is prepared to go to court to resolve the matter. One of the issues is that Jeannie wants to remain the Lakers representative at the NBA Board of Governor meetings. The Dodgers pulled away for an 11-5 win at Colorado Monday night. 2 homers by Shohei Ohtani, a 3-run shot by Max Muncy. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Our voices aren't the minority opinion. They're the American conscience. This is KBLA Talk 1580.
This is America.
Number 14. That's where Talkers Magazine ranked Tavis Smiley on their heavy 100 list of the 100 most important talk radio hosts in America. Join Tavis weekdays, 9 a.m. to noon or 9 p.m. to midnight, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Ready for a weekend reset? Walk it out with me, Gina A. Towns, the artist formerly known as Gina Darby, on Reflectivity Beyond Black and White, as we seek peace, understanding, and healing beyond surface level perspectives, where reflectivity becomes our inner power and resilience to transform our lives and our communities no matter what. Meet me and my crazy cool guests. Join the Reflectivity family movement as we make sense of it all. Every bit, every morsel. We're going to nourish the mind, body, and soul unapologetically right here on KBLA Talk 1580. Every Saturday, 2 and 8 p.m. on the West Coast, 4 and 10 in the Midwest, and 5 and 11 on the East Coast. It's time for Reflectivity Beyond Black and White. It's not only hot, it's sizzling, and we're cooking.
Race, social justice, sports, politics, art, music, culture. We do it all on the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show. If you're not tuning in, then you are definitely missing out. It's the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show, weekdays from 2 to 4 only on unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580.
Like a brand new flavor in your head. All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. My big mama used to say that there are 24 hours in a day, 12 hours to mind your business, and 12 hours to leave other folks' business alone. So let's talk about our business, Crenshaw Business. For over 5 years now, the good people of the Crenshaw Corridor have lived in a gated community, but not by choice. Gates, fences, barricades, limited street access, closed lots, and then some. By now, you've heard the stories from the folk who've lived this nightmare. Business owners have lost customers. A charter school lost students. A veterinarian lost clients. Churches have lost members. And still, Procrastination Crenshaw sits unfinished. And when I say sits unfinished, I mean sits unfinished. Nobody was seduced by the Jedi mind trick they tried to play when they ran that headline on the front page of a local black newspaper about the project restarting in weeks. I mean, come see for yourself. The only trucks on Crenshaw are deconstruction trucks. It took a minute, but to her credit, LA Mayor Karen Bass showed up and she's leaning in on getting our parking back. But think about this for just a second. LA is not Chocolate City, and yet we are blessed to have a black mayor and a black city council president. But where is the black city council president? Where is Marquise Harris Dawson? This is his project in his district, but he has been strangely quiet. Did you notice in the recent Los Angeles Times story about procrastination Crenshaw that neither Marquise Harris Dawson nor Destination Crenshaw had a word to say on the record? The silence was deafening. When people ask me why the silence, all I can say is, good question. As a reminder, the Crenshaw Corridor community sent him a letter, and it laid out real demands: a public timeline, relief for the businesses that have suffered, and an audit. At the moment, the last one matters most: the audit. Here's the thing: the foundation money, the private donations, that's their business. But this project is also funded by city money, state money, and federal money. I refer you back to the front page story in that black newspaper where they all talked about this. Go read it again. In any event, it's your money. And when public money goes into a $100 million project that still sits unfinished, the public has a right to see where every dollar went. Contracts, budgets, payments, schedules. That's not too much to ask. Again, it's your money. Our letter gave Mr. Harris Dawson a deadline, Friday, September 4th, to respond. The clock is ticking, Mr. President. 12 hours to mind the public's business. And this is one of them. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
How did you want it?
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download that.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Dr. Karen McCray is the president and CEO of the National Organization of Concerned Black Men. She is the first female to serve in this capacity. She's a trained and certified family human development counselor and corporate trainer. Karen received a BA from American University, an MA and an MPA from Rutgers University. She is completing a PhD in industrial organizational psychology at Capella University and received a Doctor of Divinity to Community and Education Relations from Bethesda Bible College. Dr. McCray, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. And
Thank you.
for filling in for Barbara Arnwine, who's on the grind. And I also want to welcome Dr. Joanne Frederick, who's making her first appearance on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. She's been in the field of counseling for over 30 years as a university professor, a counselor in private practice, and co-founder, executive director of a nonprofit that offers free, low-cost counseling services to the disenfranchised community. As a Trinidadian American, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, she takes pride in advocating for mental health throughout all communities as she provides tips, coping mechanisms free of charge through her social media platforms such as Dr. Joanne Show on YouTube. Dr. Joanne, welcome forward to the show.
Thank you so much.
Hey, let me throw something out at you, Doc. And I think that Dr. McCray, I'll let her witness to this if this is true. As Black people, we experience childhood trauma. And that childhood trauma oftentimes doesn't revisit us until later years in our lives.
Yes.
The trauma that we are experiencing right now, Dr. Frederick and Dr. McCray, is this something that our children can expect to revisit at some point in time because of the way in which trauma positions itself in Black bodies? Dr. Frederick?
Yes. And the thing about trauma is it doesn't go away. Sometimes we don't remember the
You're
trauma.
muted.
Thank you. My answer to that was yes. And I also said that the thing about trauma is that it doesn't go away. And many times we don't remember the trauma that we went through. The trauma now can be in your body, in your behavior. And so what that looks like is just reacting to life, just going about. And then something happens and we become angry, we become distant, but that trauma, as you said, is revisited and we really don't know. So what happens is trauma is not a thing that goes away. Trauma is something that we have to deal with. Sometimes, again, we don't know, but when we find out is when we work with professionals or we just start talking and people just start listening. That's when we realize, hold on, something happened when I was younger. I witnessed this or I experienced this, and now I'm ready to heal. But we also call that the stages of grief, because we may not be ready to heal until we understand exactly what's going on. This also kind of looks like, I'm going to say, the stages of change. So when we talk about addictions, for example, right, we could be addicted to drugs, alcohol, technology, work, etc. There are stages for when we want to change. And one of the first stage is awareness. And the awareness is not when people are telling us that we have a problem, but when we realize, whoa, I really do have a problem and I need help. But the bottom line is help, and it has to be community. Like, we cannot do these things alone. So we cannot overcome trauma that we're not even aware of alone.
I did have a question for Dr. McCray, but I'm going to ask it of you, Dr. Frederick, and that is this. I thought after Trayvon Martin, and maybe even after George Floyd, that the reckoning that we experienced would be therapeutic, that the country would be better because of that child and because of that man and the way in which their deaths played out. Black Lives Matter, that may have been the label of the movement, but we did see white corporations stepping up saying we're not doing enough. We did experience some changes in the attitudes and dispositions of people who could not believe that this was a form of trauma that Black people had become all too familiar with. And from a legislative perspective, certainly Dr. McCray appreciates that the Congress stepped up, the President of the United States in that era stepped up, and that was part of our therapy, that there were times when Congresses and presidents and governors and corporations did not step up when in fact that happened. And in the last year and a half, it's seemingly, Dr. McCray, completely disappeared.
Well, how often have we been fooled by Band-Aid measures when we're dealing with a systemic cancer? I think we have to be really intentional about understanding that in many instances, corporations just did it as a pass until they could get through that period because they saw it as a phase, understanding that our attention spans are short and that we wouldn't sustain the pressure. So they did it for that season, and as soon as they had another opening, the same corporations in many cases undermined their DEI programs as soon as the administration shifted. And those types of things. I think one of the things that we have to learn as a community is to keep the foot on the gas, keep our foot on the gas, keep our feet on their necks, so to speak, so that the support that is given is systemic. Often, and one of the things that we did, even when I started at the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, is we changed our fundraising strategy so that we went for multi-year grants versus 1 year, so that the impact would be we could measure it year after year. So we didn't do anything that wasn't at least 3 to 5 years. And I think that's one of the lessons that I learned early on that we have missed in this iteration after George Floyd and even Trayvon Martin, is that the corporate giving was 1 year. It was transactional. There was no multi-year funding. Even leading an organization geared towards a population of Black men and boys, we don't get the money that other organizations get because of the constituency. But when we go after grants, it's for multi-year. It has to be. It has to be. We want to build a relationship, and we want you to build a relationship with our constituency so that when something goes wrong, we know who to hold accountable. And with corporations shifting and downsizing and people transitioning in and out quick, we want to make sure that if Coca-Cola provides funding, we know who we need to go to next round. And if
I do want to.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. Go ahead.
Oh, I did want to say that when we come forward, I do have a question for you, and that is, what would Dr. Carter G. Woodson say about this era? And I should share with Dr. Frederick that at the end of our program, the final 3 minutes, I leave it for a word of hope from our special guest, and to give you some mental preparation time, because we're now going forward to a break. I wanted to allow you the opportunity to prepare your mind for that. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More with Dr. McCray and Dr. Frederick when we come forward right here at KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Lots of places can expose you to identity theft.
Oh no.
That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity, which is way more than anyone can do on their own. If we find anything suspicious, like new loans or changes to your financial accounts, we alert you right away, all through text, phone, email, or the LifeLock app. Get the alerts that could make all the difference. Save up to 30% with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight illnesses like pneumococcal pneumonia and RSV. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and can help protect you from getting really sick. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. See more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Roger and Tracy saved over $18,400. Cynthia was recovering from a family tragedy and saved over $10,300. If you are drowning in debt, then call Debt Blue. Debt Blue is a professional debt negotiation firm with over 20 years of experience helping people pay back a fraction of what they owe. Learn how to cut your debt up to half or maybe more. Be debt-free in 24 to 48 months, even with bad credit. With an A+ rating from the BBB, you can rest easy knowing Debt Blue is going to deliver guaranteed debt reduction. Debt Blue offers a success guarantee. You pay nothing unless your debt is reduced or completely resolved. That's right. You save money or it's free. Call now for significant debt relief and a free consultation. 800-200-8879. That's 800-200-8879. You don't have to declare bankruptcy. This program works if you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in debt. Call for your free consultation today. 800-200-8879. That's 800-200-8879.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. 10 Toes In serves as a mentorship and domestic violence prevention program. They support, educate, and empower couples during and after incarceration. They assist male returning citizens to re-enter society successfully and to help them maintain a healthy relationship with their romantic partner. They offer a mentorship support group for formerly incarcerated men. 10 Toes In teaches its Intimate Relationships 101 curriculum at male prisons throughout the state of California. They host sister support group meetings for women who are intimately involved with incarcerated and formerly incarcerated men. 10 Toes In is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. To access their services or make a donation, please visit them online at 10toesin.org or find them on Facebook or Instagram. They are healing lives through relationships. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds. Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right? It doesn't clean as well.
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Oh, let me make an announcement.
Attention shoppers, if you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Stop paying for watered-down detergents. Pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods. Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 15.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We've been very blessed to have Dr. Karen McCray, President and CEO of the National Organization of Concerned Black Men. She brought her wonderful friend, Dr. Joanne Frederick, to join us today, and I'm so grateful that both have been participants in this. And I actually feel better about this conversation with two counselors and therapists than I've felt in a long time. Just the fact that I've had both of you on my show. Now, oh, are you kidding? Listen, we've already discussed your regular participation after today. Are you kidding? Our community needs a collective therapist.
Yes.
I mean, we need to be taught how to take a deep breath and hold it for a 10 count at the top, and then exhale, and then just be in the moment with your happiness and not hopping from one issue to the next, which is exactly what we're doing. I do have a question before we get to your word of hope, Dr. Frederick, of Dr. McCray, and that is this. Dr. McCray is probably the nation's foremost authority on the work of Dr. Carter G. Woodson, the founder of Black History Month, which was initially a week and then expanded. Also, the author of The Miseducation of the Negro, still one of the most profoundest books I've ever read, certainly as early as elementary school, high school, then college, and even at the seminary, and even in law school. With that said, Dr. McCray, what would Carter G. Woodson say about this moment in American history?
I was thinking about this during the break, and one of the things that always struck me, I think it would be something along the lines, is do not allow self-inflicted miseducation. Meaning, don't allow social media to guide everything that you think. Tune in to Black radio. Tune in to reading a book. Don't allow others to formulate your opinion. We are all capable of critical thought and reasoning. Let that educate your core of who you are, and you determine where you go and how you walk from there.
I love that.
I think it's the self-inflicted miseducation. I really do.
I love that. That means we have to put Facebook down. My dad used to say we need to turn that TV off 2 or 3 hours a night, pick up a book and read. That was the old Push Excel program. I haven't heard that given back to me until just now. I'm so grateful for that, Dr. McCray, and thank you for your tremendous leadership. This is an unusual sister right here, brothers and sisters. She is the head of an organization of Black men. The first woman to ever run such an organization, and all of the Black men agreed that amongst themselves, they needed her. That is quite a remarkable feat. Dr. Frederick, we always ask our guests to end on a word of hope. You have even more time than we anticipated, but your contribution to our mental health and to our thinking is vital, and we all need it. In so many ways, I've said in the past that the church itself and the altar on Sunday morning, for those of us who go to church, becomes a kind of collective therapy. Wonderful counselor in the form of a sermon from a pastor who may not be trained the way psychiatrists and psychologists are formally, and many of us can't afford psychiatrists, medical doctors who are experts in this particular area, or psychologists. But Dr. Frederick offers free services to help us in our community to understand the trauma that we're experiencing. I'm grateful for your participation in our show. Please offer for our listeners.
Definitely. And what I'll also say, as I believe in a partnership between clergy and clinician, and that said, I've opened many counseling centers in a variety of churches across the nation.
Wow.
But the word that I would like to leave with everyone is my mental health advocacy platform. And the word, which is an acronym, is RISE. The R stands for rejuvenate. We have to be able to rejuvenate ourselves with the self-care activities, the positive ones that work for us. So listening to music. Matter of fact, I was dancing with your intro. Music, we dance. We have to rejuvenate ourselves. The I stands for inspire. We have to continue inspiring others by our own behaviors and our conversations. The S is for support. How do we support each other as a community, as leaders, as family members? And the E is to enlighten. How are we enlightening others, educating others? So we must rise. Keeping in mind, our greatest wealth is our mental health.
Dr. Frederick, how can our listeners get in touch with you and stay in touch with you?
You can call me at 202-335-5367. You can email me at askdrjoanne@yahoo.com. I do have a YouTube channel, and it is called Dr. Joanne. I'm also Mrs. Unity World USA. I'll be representing the United States in India next month with my mental health platform. So follow me on social media to see that journey, and just keep hearing some mental health things. And those are ways people can reach me.
Dr. Joanne, do you have a website?
I do. My website is www.jflcounseling.org.
Thank you so much.
Book called Copology, and it's all in the website. I actually made up that word too and trademarked Copology.
Copology. Wow. Dr. McCray, how can we support your work?
Well, I'm sitting in for Barbara, so I'd be remiss not to say go to tjcoalition.org to find out more about the work she and they do. And you can always reach me through cbmnational.org, which is at 202-623-5474.
You know, I've got to share with you that during the break, I asked our producer, can you find a regular spot for these two right here? And so I want you all to know that you all are in the mix at this moment. And we are extremely grateful for the enthusiasm that you bring to a very difficult and a delicate subject. And I can only think, Dr. McCray and Dr. Frederick, that the trauma that we experience needs to be processed regularly.
Yes.
Because this thing right here, listen, I know some people that were real close to Dr. King who, upon his death, they lost their minds.
That's right.
They lost their minds. I mean, they literally lost their minds. And so the check-in right here at KBLA Talk 1580 needs to occur a lot more regularly than it does.
Yes.
And that's not only for our folks in Los Angeles, but for our people around the country. We need to check in with each other and see how we're all doing on the regular. Just to check.
It makes a difference.
I think that's absolutely right. One more time, Dr. McCray, how can we reach you?
cbmnational.org.
Dr. Frederick, how can we reach you as well?
www.jflcounseling.org.
You've been listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward, D.L. Hughley will be up next, and Dr. Nee Cordelai-Corte will also be here at KBLA Talk 1580. We are paying very close attention and keeping hope alive on all of the Destination Crenshaw editorials that Tavis Smiley has been offering tremendous leadership on. We're extremely grateful in that space. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.